Hey there, and welcome back to another video. I recently started a new series called 3 Levels of Playing Blank, and in the first episode, I did 3 levels of playing a blues. The reason why I started this series is I got some messages from people saying, you know, your videos sometimes are great, but they're a little too complicated. Then other people said, hey, your videos are great, but I wish you would go more in depth. They're a little too beginner, because there's a lot of you who watch these videos. So I want to try to appeal to all of you and help all of you out. So I decided to do a series where I talk about 3 different ways or 3 levels of playing various popular tunes or concepts. In this one, I'm going to be going over the jazz standard Autumn Leaves. Autumn Leaves, along with the blues, is one of those tunes that you should really get on your repertoire list if you don't already. It's one of the most quintessential jazz standards. If you don't know it, you really should know it. And after this video today, you will definitely know it, or at least you'll be on your path to knowing this tune. As always, I have a free gift for you for this video to go along with it. I have a worksheet that's going to be all about the 3 levels of playing Autumn Leaves, and I'm going to dive into it in the video on the screen here, but I want you to have it so when you're practicing this song and you're going over this stuff, you can learn exactly all the things I'm talking about here, and you can just have it for the rest of your life for whenever you want. The only thing you need to do to get that worksheet is go to davepollack.com/3 levels autumn leaves. 3 levels autumn leaves. I'll put that link at the top of the description down below, and I'll also put it in the pinned comment for you. So without any further ado, I'm now going to dive inside of the PDF worksheet. As you see, we're now here inside of the worksheet. So I put all of the different keys that I made for this, which is C instruments, B flat, E flat, and bass clef, all in one worksheet download. So if you download it and you play saxophone and you see C instruments up top, don't freak out. If you just scroll down, its first 2 pages are C instruments, then E flat instruments, B flat instruments, so on and so forth. So for this one, I'm going to use the E flat instruments sheet because in the example demonstrations that you're going to hear, I play alto saxophone. I'm mainly an alto saxophonist, so that's why I'm going to be going over this. But remember, if you're a concert pitch, you're B flat, whatever, make sure you're looking at the correct sheet for you and transpose accordingly. The first level of improvising over Autumn Leaves, and I'm going to be talking about just the solo aspect of this song. I'm not going to talk about necessarily the technical aspects of playing the legitimate actual melody, but the first level is going to be to embellish the melody. Why is this important? Well, melody is king. It really is the most important thing you should really have going on throughout the song. Yes, rhythm, is great. Rhythm is great. Interaction with the drummer is awesome. Phrasing is great. Dynamic, all this stuff's great. But like when you're playing a jazz standard song, the melody guides you throughout. Even if you don't actually play in your solo the notes of the melody or whatever, and I'll get to that in a second, having an outline of the overall melody is a really important concept for you to have when you're improvising, because as far away as you can go and play all these substitutions and crazy stuff, the melody should still be within that in some way. So embellish the melody. What do I mean by embellish melody? And this is kind of the tough thing about level 1 because there's not an exact thing. But basically what I'm saying is this. Once you learn the melody, and I wrote out the melody here in a very kind of stock standard way, what I want you to do is don't worry about the chords, don't worry about changes, don't worry about lines, don't worry about licks. All I want you to do is take the exact same melody and just change the rhythm of the notes that are there. You don't have to add any extra notes yet. Just change the rhythm of the notes there. What do I mean by change the rhythm? Well, maybe instead of ba, 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 you go ba, 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 or you can repeat some notes. Ba, da, do, ba, do, ba, ba, ba. You can put some rests in, okay? Change up those rhythms in a way that makes sense with whatever style you're playing. What I'm talking about today is specifically Autumn Leaves, specifically soloing. I'm not going to get into the concepts of non-note musical elements and talk about phrasing, articulation, dynamics. I've done videos on those. I have 2 playlists in the description down below. It's under where it says check out some more videos. There's a saxophone specific playlist. There's also a jazz improvisation playlist with a ton of videos there. So if I talk about a concept and you want to learn more, definitely go down there. Those are just YouTube playlists. They're completely free to you. They're for you to have, just like these videos. What I'm going to do now is demonstrate. First, I'm going to play the first chorus, just playing the melody the way I wrote it out on here. So if you see me reading it, it's not because I forget the melody to Autumn Leaves, which, hey, if that happens, that's okay. But it's because I'm playing it exactly the way I wrote it for you. And then I'm going to embellish the melody. I'm only going to be using notes of the melody in the same rough order, in the same overall outline, but I'm going to change some things about it. Maybe add some rests, repeat some notes, maybe play the melody notes a little early or the resolution, like those whole notes, maybe a little later. I'm going to mess around with it. And I'm just going to do one course of regular melody, one course embellishing, but you can sit there and embellish the melody for infinite number of choruses, okay? Until you come across some ideas that you might like. So here we go. Here's my melody and embellishment of the melody. All right. I hope you enjoyed that version of me embellishing the melody. I hope that made some sense because when I was talking about it before I played it, it might not be as clear, but when you hear it, hopefully that made some sense to you. So now I want to go on to level 2, and that's going to be key centers. I talk about key centers a lot, and it's basically finding one overarching key or one overarching sound or scale over multiple chords in a song or multiple measures, okay? So there's only really 3 scales or sounds that you need in this song. We're not talking about getting crazy with alterations or anything, but just main key centers are going to be concert B flat major, concert G harmonic minor, and concert E flat major. Those 3 scales you can use over the entire song. The concert E flat major is only really in one little spot, so it's really just B flat major and G harmonic minor, but I included it to be thorough. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is go back up to the top and show you where you can use these key centers. I'm not going to get into like 2-5-1s and stuff today. I might talk about what they are real quick, but if you want to go more in depth with 2-5-1s, once again, I have a live workshop, live masterclass, and a whole bunch of other videos about 2-5-1s in that playlist down below. Go check it out. Identifying chords and key centers and chord phrases and stuff is a skill that's important to have, and I'm not going to get into it here, but whenever you see a 2-5-1, in this case, we have like A minor 7, D7 to G major. You're going to think about that. Think about what the overarching key is, and the key is a 2-5-1 in G major. Now, the cool thing about this song is if you continue to play in G major, even through this, the only note that's different is there's an F sharp here, and there's not technically an F sharp in C major 7. But if you play G major all the way through the C major or concert B flat over concert E flat, it works really well. So basically what I'm saying is, what are you going to play here? You're going to play B flat and major scale. Remember, it's either B flat major, E flat major, or G harmonic minor, concert. So over the first 4 bars, you can play concert B flat major. It works really well. Then we have a minor 2-5-1. We have, once again, in this key, F sharp, minor 7 flat 5, also called F sharp half diminished, B7 flat 9 to E minor. That's going to be the G harmonic minor scale. So I'll just write G, concert G, just so you know. You can just play concert G harmonic minor there. So there you go. The A section is just 4 bars of concert B flat major, 4 bars of G harmonic minor. Then it repeats. And the second ending, by the way, is the same as the first ending. So it's going to be continuation of G harmonic minor there. Now we get to the bridge. We have a long 2-5-1 in E minor in alto key. So that's going to be your concert G harmonic minor all the way through. Then we have a major 2-5-1 in G major here, concert B flat major. So we're going to play B flat major. We go down C section. Now here's where it does change slightly. Here we do have the 2-5 in the key of E minor. So this is in alto E minor. So this is G harmonic minor again. But when it gets here, it's kind of a 3-6-2-5 in the key of E flat major. Now there is some, those of you who really know this tune, you're going to, maybe roll your eyes a little bit at me because there's different ways to play over this. There's different chords that people play. But generally, if you use concert E flat major here, you're going to be totally fine. And then last 4 bars, you have your minor 2-5-1 in concert G minor. So we're going to play G harmonic minor throughout. Now, playing G harmonic minor works really well over the 2-5. Does it work super well over the 1 chord? I like the sound, but if you, for example, in alto key, held a C natural, which is in the G harmonic minor scale, concert E harmonic minor on alto, if you held that flat 6, that C natural over E minor, it's a half step above the 5. It's going to clash a bit, yes, if you just hold it. But overall, we're talking overall key center, it will work totally fine. Don't get caught up in one individual note. The idea of 3 levels is we're working towards, being able to actually hit the chord changes and voice lead and all that. But on the process of that, once we get through the melody, now we're just doing overarching key centers. This will work really well. So now I want you to hear me play a chorus, one chorus, improvising, only playing these scales over these chords. What I just wrote there, that's exactly what I'm going to play. Now, do I just play up and down the scale 1 octave? No, I'm going to bounce around and do some different things, but I'm only thinking of playing in that key center. I'm not specifically thinking of chord tones, not specifically thinking of voice leading. If some of that comes out, that's just because I have a lot of experience with chord tones and voice leading, which you're going to get to that point too. But listen for the overarching key centers and really the overarching scales that I'm playing over each of these chords. Check it out. All right, could you hear those scales and the key centers throughout? I hope you did. If not, listen to it a few times, get comfortable with this song, and I'm sure the sounds will start to come out in your ear a little more, and you'll start to notice those keys. Now we're on to level 3. This is kind of a 2-parter. I could have made this 4 levels, but these are kind of connected. So it's called chord tones and voice leading. Once again, this could definitely be 2 separate things, but they kind of lead into one another. So first, I'm going to talk about chord tones. The chord tones literally are just whatever the chord says. If it says A minor 7, that specifically means 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7 in the key of A major. So that'd be A, C, E, G. Once again, there is a key signature throughout. So whenever I write these chords, know that there is a key signature. So if, I don't write, for example, here in the B7 flat 9, there's no accidental in front of the F sharp, but it's because it's in the key signature. So just understand that. Don't get too confused with that. There are chord tones under every single chord, obviously. So when there's a flat 9 chord, like a dominant 7 flat 9, there's going to be 5 notes, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, flat 9. If there's just a 7th chord, it's going to be 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, or 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7. Or in the case of the minor 7 flat 5, 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. But then when it just says E minor, that literally means E minor triad. Now in real life, when you're playing, is the piano player just going to sit there and play a triad? No. E minor is just a guide, but I wanted to give you the literal translation of what the chord is. When you work on songs, knowing the chord tones after you go through key centers, after you go through the melody is super important because that's what literally is happening in the harmony. yes, we could talk about licks and lines and all these different things, but like when it says A minor 7 for 4 beats, then D7 for 4 beats, that's a literal like roadmap. It's literally these tones and then literally these tones. So knowing when it switches, knowing what notes switch are really important for you as an improviser. So for the first part of level 3, what I'm going to do now is play a solo, a one chorus solo again, but I'm only going to play chord tones of every chord. So this is a little weird because I'm playing kind of vertically because I'm really just playing A minor 7, then D7, then G major. Yes, you're going to hear some voice leading automatically. Like for example, the note C in A minor 7 is a common tone with C here, and then you can move down a half step to B. I call that the 3-7-3 voice leading. And yes, I might do that a bit. I might think about that voice leading, but that's just once again because I'm comfortable with it over the years, and you're going to get to that point too. But I'm not going to be playing lines. I'm not going to be running up. I'm not going to be using chromaticism unless it's chromatic from one chord to the next with chord tones. So take a listen. I'm going to play one chorus of a chord tone only solo. Check it out. Okay, could you tell that I was only playing chord tones there? That's a great way to practice playing over a standard or any song is just play chord tones. It helps you understand the harmony, but I think almost more importantly, it helps you hear where the harmony is moving in real time. Because it's not just that you're able to play A minor 7 and D7 or whatever, but it's that you know how long to sit on each chord, you know where the resolution chords are, and hopefully you're referencing that melody up here that you've worked on before. So now the final part of the third level or the final step here is going to be voice leading. I have an entire voice leading masterclass, not here on YouTube, somewhere else. It's more in depth, PDFs, worksheets included. It's called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos. To get it, just go to davepollack.com/free masterclass. I'll also put a link to that under the first link for this in the description below. Once again, it's completely free to you, but if you want to know my 6-step voice leading process when I talk about neighbor tones and enclosures and this and that, chromatic leading tones, diatonic leading tones, sample lines, all that stuff is in that free masterclass. So if you want to connect these chord tones with that voice leading and you're not sure how to do it, that's what I want you to go check out. But in this video, I'm basically now just going to take a full solo. It's going to be 2 choruses, and I'm going to kind of combine everything together. I'm going to combine in some melody aspects. I'm going to combine some key centers. I'm going to combine the chord tones. I'm going to use voice leading between the chords. Yes, you're going to hear some altered outside sounds, but that's all part of voice leading and bringing things together. Once again, check out that voice leading class, and I'll talk about all the chromaticism and stuff. This is what it sounds like now when you go through these steps and you get to this final step here. This isn't the final end all be all. I'm not saying this solo I'm about to take is like the end of it. But if you're talking about going from melody, embellish the melody, key centers, chord tones, voice lead between the chord tones, and now add some extra stuff, this is where you end up. When you're listening to this, I want you to keep in mind everything we've talked about. I want you to try to hear the melody. I want you to try to hear key centers. I want you to try to hear chord tones, and now listen for voice leading when I connect chords to each other horizontally. Check it out. Okay, I hope this dive into Autumn Leaves, showing you the 3 levels of improvising over it, has helped you think about a different way of soloing over it. If you're at the more beginner stages, definitely focus on playing the melody and embellishing the melody, then diving into those key centers. If you're a little more advanced, really start going from those key centers into those chord tones. Really make sure you have a good harmonic foundation through the chords with your chord tones, and really start working on voice leading. I can't tell you how many people I hear that have a lot of stuff together. They have great technique, they have great sound, and they understand harmony, but their solos don't really connect to each other, and the solo doesn't connect chord to chord is what I'm trying to say. They don't really have that horizontal voice leading. They're kind of playing over each chord, or they're adding some licks in, but it doesn't really connect, doesn't feel like it's flowing well. And I get messages all the time from people saying that. They say, I know all these licks, I know all this harmony, I can't get my solo to just flow from one chord to the other. It just sounds really clunky. Voice leading is going to be the way. DavePollack.com/free masterclass for that. Don't forget to pick up the PDF worksheet for this video. Go to the number 3 levels Autumn Leaves. 3 levels Autumn Leaves. That link is at the top of the description. It's also in the pinned comment below. Make sure you get that worksheet so you can work through this yourself. If there are other songs you want to see me do in the series, please let me know in the comments below. Or there's other topics you want to see me cover. I love doing videos on things that you want to learn about. That's my goal. I'm teaching you, but I want you to tell me what you want me to teach you. It's not just I have this syllabus and you have to learn it no matter what. That's not fair. That's not fun. That's not educational. I want you to say, hey, I want to get better at this. And if other people are like, yeah, I also want to get better at this, guess what? I'll make a video teaching you that thing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.